Hello, it's Julian here again for the fifth part of the five-part series, 5 and 5. We are at the end. Uh, Today is I have, I have no clue. It's a different day. It's a different day. Uh, we're talking about same topic as the other 5 parts, video games. And as I said in the fourth part, at the very end, I said we are going to talk about anything I want this time because I mean, every time I got to pick what I wanted to talk about, I picked games I want to talk about, but this time I'm just going to talk about video game stuff in general, just general stuff, because there's not really another game in particular I want to talk about off the top of my head. So I'm just going to talk about game stuff that I think about. It's not particularly focused, but that's okay. You know, you're here. You've been through 4 other hours of me talking, well, more like rambling about video game stuff. So I think you'll be fine. I think the place I want to start is Steam Deck /Steam/ PC games. Alright. So I'll talk about indie games, right? I was like, oh, indie games, pretty cool. Talk about that in the screen video, whatever. I'm not gonna lie, I just really like the indie games. I started Risk of Rain and a number of other smaller roguelike games on PC because they weren't really big on PlayStation. I also didn't know that you could buy them on PlayStation. To be fair, I'm a PlayStation guy. I'm a console gamer. I play PlayStation. Do not like Xbox, which I'm just being dramatic. I really don't care. I mean, I would never buy an Xbox by choice because I prefer PlayStation. But if you have an Xbox and you're like you want to play, I'm gonna still play the game. I'm not gonna be like, oh, how could you ask me such a? It's not that serious. But anyway, as for like playing on PC, I pretty much just play indie games. The kind of laptop I have is not made for uh, very taxing, no, very graphically taxing games, which makes sense really, because it's just a regular laptop. So I just play like low graphical indie games on here, but they're good. Like I said, I stand by my indie games. All right, AAA to indie, I always go indie because indie games they got that heart and soul. It's like that. It's like is the difference between a fast food restaurant and that mom and pop shop. Maybe that fast food restaurant got decent food or whatever, but there's something that doesn't come in fast food that comes in that mom and pop sandwich. That soul, and it's pretty good in indie games. It's also cheaper, so that's pretty nice. Financially, it's very advisable. Um, yeah, yeah. But nonetheless, uh, I play softer indie games. Personal fave, Slay the Spire, Slapper, came out on PlayStation, also on the, I think it's a mobile game too. I kind of want to check that in real time, but I don't know if I'm fast enough, and I don't want to like sit here in awkward silence as I do it. I'm still gonna do it actually. I decided to be impulsive. But yeah, Slay the Spire, Risk of Rain, that's a fave. I'm like, honestly, low key, I can check my catalog. I'm checking. I feel like I'm checking a lot of things. Like I said, this time around, we're not being very uh, particular. We're kind of just going. Slay the Spire is on mobile. Honestly, it is actually it would be a very solid mobile game because the way the game is, it's kind of like a card game. Well, a turn-based card game. Well, card games are turn-based. Don't mind me. I am a little slow. But nonetheless, right, it's a turn-based game, right? Play cards, whatever. Cards to do specific moves and whatever. And actually, yeah, that's pretty much the premise. You play cards to do particular moves. You play as a character, you get different cards. You build your deck of moves, and then you play them out to then defeat enemies and destroy bosses, do little events here and there, many things, not anything special. But the game is very good. It's like how would I describe it? If you think of a team, right? There are levels to teams. Some teams can be really bad. They don't work together well. They have bad communication. They don't execute on plans very well. Then you think of like the best team, like they're locked in, like everybody's on the same page. Everybody's supporting each other. A very well-oiled machine. That is how Slay the Spire is. A well-oiled machine of mechanics and skills and cards and everything. Everything just comes together very, very well. I don't say it's addictive, but it's very enjoyable. I recommend this game pretty highly, really. So that's one of those games I really like. As for other ones that I'm pretty fond of, I'm gonna open up Steam right now. Other ones I've played on here. Oh, Cave Blazers, very small one. It's like a dungeon crawler type of game. Pretty good. I've never beaten it. Actually, no, no, no. I have beaten it. I beat it a long time ago. Kind of. There's like a secret boss. Can't be bothered. Hard game. Pretty good. But it's really old. I really like that one. That's a personal fave of mine. I can't. I don't know if I can recommend it to other people, but it's pretty good. We got Yu-Gi-Oh. I'm a card game guy, so Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel and the other Yu-Gi-Oh! Game before that, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. When everybody was talking about that last year, I was a pretty big fan. I had to play it. I played it quite a bit. I made my own deck that I liked, and I didn't feel like making another one. And the other ones were you gotta like get the cards. You gotta trading cards. You gotta get the cards, and then you're buying the different packs, and then you're hoping they give you the cards you need. It's like and then you gotta figure out all the mechanics and the effects, and I can make them work together. It's like I love this. This is great. I enjoy this very much. But also, I'm lazy, so I actually don't have the mental capacity to spend time making two decks, two working decks that actually can win fights. Then didn't help that the meta had like two or three different archetypes that literally would destroy you. I mean, damage numbers out the booty. And I had no answer for it at all. And I was like, I don't want to make the same deck as everybody else because that makes it easy. It's boring. I don't like the one through line throughout all these videos is a couple of things. I don't want to spend a lot of money on video games. I want really good video games for the least amount of cost, and I don't like. I like playing difficult games. I don't like taking the easy way out in video games. Like, I can't be bothered. So that's another. Yeah, I couldn't be bothered to compromise on my morals as far as how I wanted to play the game. All right, I play the game how I want to play the game. Don't start with me. But nonetheless, I really like that game. The game on here that I was like really good at. I like the Dead Cells was another one. That one's also a fairly famous indie game. Apparently, it treats its players very well. I think there's a couple expansions on it, and they keep updating the game too. Very good. Terraria, it's kind of an indie game. Well, it used to be an indie game. Not kind of. It's fairly large, but I do recommend it. If you've never played Terraria, it's like Minecraft but 2D and more fighting focused. I would say Minecraft is like creative, like oh we build things focused. I would definitely argue that Terraria is more fighty focused, and that's why I like Terraria better because I'm here for the combat. I just want to destroy things. That's not psychotic at all. Don't worry about that. But anyway, yeah. Recommend Terraria. I can't think of any other indie games. Actually, I'm actually thinking about it now. I'm like, dang, I really don't play that many indie games. But then again, I'll also say, as a gamer, I don't play that many. I don't buy that many different games. I am very picky and particular about what games I do and don't buy. For me, um, the purchasing process looks like this. I hear about a game. I'm like, I need to see what the graphics look like. Check the graphics. Solid. I check a trailer. Try to see what the trailer looks like. Are they showing gameplay? If they don't show gameplay, that's already one red flag. I'm not feeling it. I catch some gameplay. Gameplay looks interesting. Is it speaking to me on a deeper level, or am I just like, it looks kind of cool? It's I can't say that like I have a particular archetype. I like games that have good combat and are engaging in the way you play them. But good combat isn't perfect because I will say, for example, like a Devil May Cry, known for having great those games known for having great combat. I decided it was like on sale, and I was in a fiending mood. I was like, I really want it, so I bought the game. Did I complete it? I did beat it. I did, but I'm thinking about it. I'm like, it was good, but I never got good at the fight mechanics. I would say, like, some games I'll say like, oh, like I genuinely am good at those games. If you want to put me in like any time, whenever you want me to just go in there and just go ham, I can do it. Devil May Cry was not one of those games. I feel like that game was like, it's like one of those like regular, like think of like Tekken, Street Fighter kind of games where it's like oh no, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat kind of games where it's like the or even Injustice 2. It's like uh, it's a lot of different games with this kind of combat style where it's like you press buttons, but you also gotta like pause and like do like certain analog stick movements and whatever as you're playing to get like the proper combo. That is too much. I wouldn't say it breaks my brain because it's not true. But when I'm playing, I just kind of want to go. I don't like the I'm playing, but I'm like thinking really hard about how I'm pressing the button. Like I can't. I guess I wouldn't say spaz because spaz isn't the right word because I'm not like flipping out. But if you're playing the game right and it's getting stressful, you might start pressing the button faster than you really mean to. That sort of thing messes up the combo. You can't do that in those types of games. I I can't help myself. I'm gonna do that, and so it gets kind of like problematic. And so then whatever. It's like I can't just enjoy the game. Like I have to like think technically. Like I have to have like I don't know. It's just weird. Me and those games just don't vibe very well. I'm just not good at those kind of combos. I'm just not good at it. So yeah, like those kind of games. Mm-mm. But combat games, I'm for it. If it looks, depending on like if I watch like certain YouTubers, they play like they're known for just playing. Certain YouTubers that I watch, they are known for like playing different, no, new games as they come out, and like either look at advertisement or they'll just be like everybody's talking about this game, so let's check it out. They'll play the game, and I can kind of like tell like okay, based on what they're doing in the game, would I want to do this? Was the longevity? Was the length of this game? Is this game like a one and done, or is this like a long term game? When it comes to games, I generally try to go for like long term kind of things where it's like I'm not just hopping in for like a 24 hour in and out game because games are expensive. I'm not trying to spend $40-$60 on an in and out process. I want to if I'm gonna buy the game, I want to get into it. So that's probably the reason why I really like roguelikes because like it's not a definite end technically, and so therefore you can get a lot of play time out of it. First, like for example, a FromSoft game. There are ways to continue the game. You can do a new game plus run. You can do different skill runs. Like I said, the solo level 1 run. You can do no hit run. You could do only magic, only strength build, dex build, strength and dex and faith, etc., etc., etc. There's a lot of different things you could do in those games, but always kind of centered around like you literally just start over. Like literally, you start over. First, like roguelikes, it's built in that you're supposed to start over, so that's part of like the game mechanic. That like you are gaining things, and you will die and come back and have to continue. But that's like the point. So it's like it's a little, to me it's a little different. It's just the way it comes off is different versus like a God of War. Like if I finish the game, yes, I could play the game differently, sure, but I'm just literally starting the game over. Like I'm gonna have less resources because I'm starting over. I can't just go anywhere and do anything. It's like it's just weird. I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like I can't really explain it. I just don't like it. I can't do it. I don't play games twice. I don't do a lot of things twice. To be fair, I like doing things twice. I'm not a fan. Sekiro. Favorite FromSoft game. I was like, oh, I'm gonna play this game again. Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. It's my favorite. I love FromSoft. I cannot do it. I played Risk of Rain 2 times, literally 2 times, and again, part of the game is dying, so I probably died and started over hundreds of times, and I'm unfazed by it. Actually, I've been meaning to play Risk of Rain recently. Probably gonna play it later today or tomorrow, but it's just not the same. It's just not the same. I compare the two. It's like apples and potatoes. Two different things. I can't do it. But yeah, that's another thing. Like, what's the longevity? Like, is it like a game that I like start over? Is it a roguelike? Is it like a story game? Is it like a combat focused game? Like, what is it about? Like, what are we doing here? The gameplay, yes. The graphics, of course. Price, of course. Then, if I've seen the game, seen people play or whatever, I might look up some reviews, like what reviewers saying about it. Because obviously, if someone's playing the game, they're just playing from a certain point. So I can't get an accurate representation of what the end of the game or like what the whole, like how I feel a couple hours into the game, based on like a 30 to 1 hour gameplay video. It's not. Yeah. So I may watch a couple of views, get get a sense of like what are people thinking. Okay, and then I would say what would be next? What would be next? And so my thing. Yeah. There's a small cut. There's noise in the background, whatever. So if it looks like uh, I was doing something, I was talking, I was on a string, and I paused and came back. It's like, wait, what is he talking about? Wasn't he just saying that? I just paused and came back. Don't worry about it. It's all good. So I was saying reviews. Yeah, I like to check out reviews for games to kind of get a sense of like what people think. Like what's the pulse of the game? What are other people thinking? Sometimes people will leave a review, and I'll be like, I kind of still want to go for it, and I'll play the game. And I'll be like, oh yeah, I love this. But getting a review is a good idea because especially people who like review games regularly and review a lot of different games, they can give you a pretty good opinion of like, hey, I played the game through and through, and I can tell you, if you're not here for, if you aren't here strictly for this, and this, you're not gonna enjoy this game at all. Then I can say like, well, I am here for that. I'll enjoy it, or I'll say, I'm not here for any of that. I won't enjoy it. And it's part of the reason why I have like this long process for like deciding games. And sometimes it'll depend on like what my financial situation is looking at the time. Like, sometimes I might be like, I just can't afford that, bro. Just can't afford that, and I'll just say no, and I'll just be at the end of it, and I'll probably never think about that game again because if I really wanted it, I just wouldn't be able to stop myself from buying it. That's true. Some games, it's like I'll buy it and I'll be like, man, I really wish I didn't spend that money as I'm playing the game. And I'll play the game for the whole thing. I'll enjoy every moment of it. I'll be like, dang, I really should spend that money. So games like that, but if I can question it, maybe not. I've actually had one experience. Also I don't pre-order games. I never ever pre-order games. Not unless it's like one of my personal fave developers. Like if it's like Risk of Rain Returns, like I was talking about in the second episode, like that I might pre-order. If it's like a FromSoft game, I probably would pre-order. The only reason I wouldn't pre-order is just because it's expensive and maybe I just don't feel like I want to. But like generally, I'm like anti pre-ordering. Like if you're not absolutely standing by everything behind this game, the reason why I do that is because I've actually had one particular experience where I was like, I shouldn't have wasted my money like that. That was so dumb. No Man's Sky. One of the most hyped up games of, I guess you could say my generation, I guess. Or maybe late millennials generation. But one of the most hyped up games ever. The trailer dropped, and yeah, people were here for. I was here for it. There was one particular creator. He was repping, like, I mean, a lot of people were repping the game hard, but this one particular guy was repping the game hard. He was really selling me the dream. Now, he was not a developer. He was not working for the company that made the games, Allo Games. So he was not working for them. He just was buying into it just as much as we were, and he was hype. He was like residual hyping up. We would respond to. We would be excited for him watching his videos and stuff. So his channel's blowing up, and so he talked more about the game. He's like, "Yeah, I'm really into it," and we would all be like, "It's gonna be great." And so we were all. It was bad. It was a bad echo chamber. Because realistically, right, we saw one trailer. Not a good sign. It was looking curated. That is not a good sign either. You don't mess with curated trailers. Because you can make a trailer, a scene look good. Graphically, energetic, gameplay wise, all of that. And it can not be in your game at all. That's why I say you gotta see gameplay, like real time gameplay, because you can get robbed. I was personally bamboozled, fleeced, empty your pockets activity. It was bad, kind of. So, right, what was the premise of this game? Like, what was so exciting about it? It was basically like, I was supposed to be like, I guess you could say it was kind of like the ultimate space explorer, right? You're going to go into space. You get to be a space dude. You get your own ship. You can do whatever you want. You can explore all the planets. You get to name your planets and the things you discover. It's a great old time. You can be a space pirate. You can work for the Popo. You can be a poacher, a thief guy, just an explorer, whatever. And the universe, it was all procedurally generated. What does that mean? So basically, stuff is put into the game, like assets and stuff, different like criteria, and the game itself, like the AI computer system, creates everything as you see it. So that's a big part of roguelikes for a lot of games, where they're all pretty procedurally generated, based on certain presets. Pretty much anything can happen. It's like, and like think of like for Risk of Rain, to give an example, since that's from a previous video. You think enemies aren't procedurally generated, right? They're not made up. There are certain enemies that have been made, but what enemies will spawn on a stage can vary. When they'll spawn can vary. Like it can what are the chests where you can get the items? It can vary. What items are going to be in the chest? It can vary. A lot of things can change up in the game, but there are certain things that stay the same. No Man's Sky was like, nah. Let's take it up a notch. Everything is procedurally generated. Every planet is different. There can be different animals on the planet. They can be huge, literally gigantic. This is a word that they use. It's like giant. Like they're like. I remember it was something about like a giant snake. I was like, oh my god, a giant snake. The planets can be different. It'd be a gas planet. I don't know if they say anything about gas planet. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if they say anything about that. But it was like it could be a water planet, an ice planet, whatever. I'm like, whoo! Like I said, when I tell you they sold the head director, who was the main one doing like the interviews and talking about the game. I tell you, he sold us a dream unlike any other. He sold us a dream like any other. Like it was like, oh man, this is gonna be so good. I'll end it up. I'm not gonna lie. That guy could have sold me crack. Drugs aren't even good. I don't know about it. It's just a thing. But yeah, it's like there was just so many things. It was basically promised that like you basically get to experience space travel in this game. That was like the main thing. And there was like a huge problem. It was like a big problem. There was like this particular fact that was kind of sold to us was like a minute but very big detail that defined the downfall of this game. the universe is huge. It's procedurally generated. It's like it'll take you forever to get to the center of the universe. That was part of the game. Like part of the big purpose was that it wasn't just like a random exploration. Like you could go to the center of the universe. Now you can create your own reason why you're going over there and like role play your whole life, but you were trying to get to the center of the universe. It was like it's gonna take forever, be forever for everybody to get there. I'm like, okay. And two, part of that was that the universe is so big and it take forever to get to the center of the universe, even though it's part of the thing. It was take forever to get over there. But and it's multiplayer. But because the universe is so large, you may never cross paths with another player. If you do, it's going to be a momentous moment. Basically, it's saying like it's literally like space. So it's like, oh, there's so many planets. So even though it's multiplayer, you may be on the same server as other people, but you're probably not going to see anybody because it's just so much space for people to play on. And that was like a big detail because it was like, oh my god, like the idea of like it's like an ice, like space is so vast, and like you're alone in the universe. But it's like saying like, no, you're not alone in the universe. It's just such a vast universe. You're not going to see anybody, but you can. You specify you can. Oh my god, that was a play. That give it. Actually, I'm not going to get to the reconciliation. I don't know. This is becoming a No Man's Sky talk, but yeah. But anyway, we're not going to go to reconciliation just yet. We're going to stick on the main point. The game. And I wouldn't say a lot. The oversold dreams, right? So, right, you said this. The game drops. Again, the hype train is passing. I will say, personal story. I needed to go to the doctor the morning of the game dropping. I pre-ordered the game already. I was like, I'm bought in. Like literally, I bought in. That morning, I am playing the game. I have to go to the doctor at like 7 o'clock. 7. I don't know why I did like that. 7 o'clock. Right? I'm playing the game at 5. I'm like, I gotta get in when everybody else is playing. I have to. I was having a great time. I don't even gonna say the gameplay was crazy, but if you think of the hype train as a drug, I was so high off the hype train that I was like, man, this is the greatest thing ever. And honestly, it was kind of like I was excited to experience the world they were talking about. Because obviously, they're saying there's a vast universe with a lot of different things you can discover. It's kind of like, well, I just can't wait to discover it. So I play a little bit. I go to the doctor. I come back. I play some more. It was crazy stuff. The game's out for like a week. People start complaining because they're like, hold on. Because obviously, this is I'm on the internet. At this point, I'm on the internet now. I'm watching YouTube, whatever. Not really deep in the internet. I don't do Twitter. But I'm deep on the internet. But the people I'm like on the internet now. So I'm paying attention to like the pulse. The pulse in the game is, I'm on it. People are literally a week. One, the planets, very samey. Not a lot of the cool, like the animals are a lot of samey animals. They're not very like the promise of a giant no. Water planets, I don't think anybody really found that water planet. I think there was water on planets, but there was no water planets. That was big for me because I'm like, I love sea creatures. It's really cool. I like the ocean, like things that exist in the water. So like the idea of like an ocean planet, I'm like, oh my god, that is terrifying and so cool at the same time. No ocean planets, no giant animals or anything like that. The police force isn't that crazy. It's not that interesting. A lot of the gameplay loop is literally just because a lot of it comes down to the gameplay. The gameplay loop at the time just came down to you would fly around in space. You could do trading with different species and stuff, like little things like that, like learn the languages of the different species, so then you actually know what they're saying. Because at first you wouldn't know anything they're saying. It would be like a completely made up language, and then slowly like you learn their language and then thinking, which is kind of cool. Like I said, hold on, I'm not good. I can't get too far off track. So like the main gameplay loop kind of broke down to you're going towards the center of the universe. That's the main goal. So you're going. You're slowly running out of fuel. You go to a planet. You go on the planet. You hunt for fuel, maybe a little bit other stuff to upgrade stuff on your ship, and then you put the fuel in the ship. You keep going. That is the main gameplay loop. It is not interesting to go hunt, to go mining on a planet. Not at all. You find something you're looking for. You mine it. The little ray gun goes. Got it. You pick up the stuff. You got limited storage too. You got limited storage. You bring the stuff. You do the little crafted thing. Boom. Put in your spaceship. Keep going. It is not an interesting affair at all. Like, you can sell stuff and whatnot, but overall, generally speaking, it is a fairly straightforward and boring thing. I was hyped for the game, but eventually it started weighing on me. Like, I wouldn't say like I was like, oh my god, I'm so disillusioned with the game. I was kind of just like, I got bored. And it's just one of those things where it's like, I guess you could say at the time at least, I wasn't mentally as critical. So I like in my head, I wasn't thinking like, oh, this game is boring. It was more like just I slowly got bored. And then also, mind you, I had my pulse in the community, so like I'm listening. At the same time, I'm hearing what other people are saying about the game. They're like, it's cool. I'm enjoying myself, but it's kind of like the same thing over and over. I'm like, shoot, it is. Like, it's really not that interesting. I played it for a good minute, but eventually I did get bored. You want to know how sold on the game I was? I was so sold on the game that I made my friend pre-order it because it was that exciting to me. I was like, we gotta play it together. Did that man dirty. I never give bad recommendations for games. I don't really give bad recommendations for stuff in general. I'm too frugal with money to suggest things that aren't good. Oh, I'm too frugal with money and time to suggest things that aren't good. I only suggest good stuff. That one, it paid off in the future, but at the time, mm-mm, mm-mm. So yeah, people were not vibing the gameplay of the loop. Not only that, and then also some of the stuff that he was talking about, like things you can do in the game, weren't coming true. Space battles were not looking as fine as he was making it sound like it was. Space pirates were not really a thing. Like being in huge interstellar space, no, that was not really a thing. Nope. No. And the biggest lie. This one was really, really creditless, bad, like terrible. So I mentioned a little bit earlier. You could meet people in this game. The game was multiplayer, but the universe was so big that might as well have been single player, right? You buy the game on the box. In thing. What is it? I pressed pause by accident. Single player. That's not a good sign. But you can cope. This is before the word cope was even a thing. People were coping. It's like, they just doing that. It's like a little Easter egg. No. Because within a week, so much hype was built that actually people were actually on the same planet really early on, within a week, I believe. It was definitely within a month, but it was very quick after the game released. Like the game released, and like soon after, some people were talking about, shoot, actually, we're like really close to each other. Like we're in the same general galaxy area. Like we got to go to the same planet so we can see each other. They go to the planet, nothing. They're in the exact same spot, nothing. Same planet, same spot. Looking at each other, technically, there's nothing there. Depression. Oh, hello games. I was sick. I was done. The internet was sick. And one thing about the internet, don't ever scam the internet. They violate. So there was I would say, right. I recently got into Warhammer. It's I guess you could say a series. Um, I think it's kind of like D&D, like the concept of D&D, where it's like it's a tabletop game, but then also it has stories, it has books and figures and a lot of different other stuff or whatever, right? So right against Warhammer, right? If you know Warhammer, they have this thing called the Horus Heresy, it's like this gigantic ultra war, right? Or the Indominus Crusade, crusade throughout the universe and conquer planets, whatever. This was I guess you could call it the No Man's Crusade. It was a like uncoordinated, but through like I guess you could say it was like a revolution kind of. It was uncoordinated, but everybody felt the same feeling. So all at the same time, everyone went to war with Hello Games, or rather specifically with No Man's Sky, but with Hello Games. The the year long plus it went on, but the year long amount of content basically going down like the I wouldn't say the hate train, but like I wouldn't even say the hate train because hate train that hype train. No. This wasn't a hate train. This was this was like the space crusade. Like think of the crusades that make them spaceships and like warships in space, like the size of them. Like this is like a interstellar crusade throughout the universe to destroy No Man's Sky for what they have done to us and the lies that have been told to us to make us buy this game. They destroyed No Man's Sky. You know what I did? Watched every single video. So the content was good. Because you gotta understand, the feeling was that basically you had your money stolen from you to get a game that wasn't good. And again, if you're thinking about it from like you gotta think about it from the point of view of like not only do a lot of people buy this game, but like a lot of major Let's Players at the time, because people like playing video games and like Let's Players like pretty big at the time, like playing different games, whatever. Watching them. I mean, you could say they're still kind of big now, but not as much. At least in my opinion, I don't watch them as much. At the time, I watched a lot of them. Everybody was playing this game, so you can imagine if even like the biggest creators down to the smallest peon like myself is playing this game, like bought into the hype. You can imagine the collective disappointment that comes up when like a lot of the promises and hype that was built up is now turned against itself as a lot of that hype was unwarranted. Like people say like the hype train gets out of control, and so sometimes the people feel like they're promised things that just aren't in the game, that end up not being in the game or just aren't realistic for like the developers to put into the game. This was like that, but if the developer told us. But like basically like leading the hype train, and it was like I guess the best way to put it. The developer talked about like the whole situation afterwards. It was kind of like it was ambitious and he wanted the game to succeed, but he kind of got caught up in the moment as like not a PR guy, but like just a director slash game developer that he kind of got hyped up in the moment, and so ended up like telling a lot of people that things were going to come in the game, or like hinting at the idea that things were going to come in the game that weren't going to be in the game at release. And so it kind of like it worked in the moment of them getting a lot of sales, but it didn't work in the long term of like it basically looks like you guys robbed a whole bunch of people. So it's like you kind of feel bad because like realistically this guy's not really a bad guy. Like he just genuinely didn't. He wasn't prepared for what he had stumbled upon. He had stumbled upon true gold, and then was like hyping it up to the point where like everybody got like and everyone came to see what he had found. It was like, oh, it's not gold, it's like regular rock. It's like, oh, my bad. And everybody's like, I sold my house to get this gold. There's no gold here. Put him up. And so we then beat up his game and him and the developers, the whole company. They were a small company too at the time. Beat them all up. Terrible. It was sickening. It was so good, the content. Also, you can probably look it up now. Those videos go crazy. Again, I watched those videos multiple times. It was that bad. Not out of hate, but the videos were just really good because it was like the passion that people had for the game now turned against the game. It came out onto the internet as like a hate swarm, and it was so But the developers basically they dissed the game. Everybody was going crazy on them. They didn't speak for quite a while. Then they came back, and because they didn't talk for a while, it basically came down to like everybody was like really disappointed. They're like, "You had to abandon your game. You stole from us. Yada yada yada." Turned out they were working on the game. They were like, "We're gonna put our heads down. Like we disappointed you guys. We're sorry we disappointed you guys. We wanted to create a good game and we failed. But we're gonna put in the work. We're gonna fix the game. We promise." And I came back. I took a little pause. Anyway, where was I? I was at the part where, oh yeah, so they buckled their heads down and they were fixing the game, and they dropped update after update after update. By this point, I was over it. I didn't feel like playing the game anymore. But anyway, I'm not big on exploring games. I don't know. I was really hyped. I got caught up, but yeah, I didn't really bother. I mean, I did go back. I was paying attention to content, people talking about the game, like what they put in and what they fixed and whatnot. But I was wrong. So right, they just fixed the game for free. There was no expansion, nothing like that. They just fixed the game. And they kept doing it for like years after the game had already released, and then all this backlash. They kept fixing the game. As the game went from a literally in the trash score to like pretty good score, like mostly positive on like Steam and stuff. It's like, wow, like I'm not like it was such a big turnaround actually. How I'll describe how big of a turnaround it is. It was such a big turnaround that creators after this hate campaign, the ultimate crusade against the game and developer, turned around and people are making videos talking about the history, yes, but also about how much they turned the game around and how much the game has changed now that they fixed the stuff. It's like, dang, like that's commitment. That was real. But that was just a cool story. So I was pleased, and I never touch the game back really again. It just wasn't my type, and also the hype was dead. My heart hurt. But my friend, who I invited to play the game, he ended up keep playing the game. He actually quite enjoyed it. He was like, "Oh yeah, after they fixed the game and stuff, I was having a great time." I was like, I just can't be bothered to get back into it." But my recommendation was one, good. Two, technically it's not a bad purchase. I mean, I still have the game. I purchased it at one point, so I still have it. But this also goes back to my main point of don't pre-order games. It's just too much. Because to be fair, yes, they did fix the game, but it was years later. For me, at least, it was a waste of money. For a lot of people, it probably ended up being a waste of money. Now, some people went back to play the game, and some people may have seen that they were fixing the game and then went back and went in to buy it. Not came back, but went in and bought it at the time. And probably in the end, it ended up being worth all the pain and suffering in the very beginning. But that's not a great way to make our games, and so it creates an issue where actually a lot of game companies at this time will release games that suck. They're glitchy. They're just not really that well made. Overwatch was one of them, and a lot of glitches on release. It was kind of like, did you guys not test your game? Get a play tester. There are people who play test the game for free. You don't even got to pay them. There are people who test your Overwatch game for free and play test it. Why? But they'll do a lot of that, and then down the line they'll fix it. Nah, not a fan. So this is why I don't pre-order games. I don't pay for games before I get the product. I do extensive research. Especially if it's pretty expensive, I will do extensive research, then make a final decision. Generally, I've been pretty good about making good decisions of buying games that are at least genuinely good before I pay for them. That is one thing. Now you can make the argument of sometimes I buy games that I end up not really playing, or I don't play for quite a while. But I never buy a game that isn't good. Right? Cyberpunk was an example of this. Cyberpunk, another game, huge hype train. People were not feeling it. Started playing it. It was bro, game plays on PlayStation 4. Can't even really play it on PC. Can't even really play it on PS5 or Xbox Series X or whatever. But over time, CD Projekt Red, after getting lampooned, all right, getting that it wasn't like I said, the No Man's Sky one was a different level of just attack. All right, that was something that I don't think will ever really happen again for a video game. CD Projekt Red, Cyberpunk, it was close, but not quite, not quite. But that was another one where I was really interested in playing it, but by this point I'd already been burned by No Man's Sky, so there was no way I was ever gonna pre-order it, which was a good thing because it ended up not really being that good on release. Over time, they did fix the stuff, and now it's like a decent game. I played it at this point, paid for it and played it. I had a great time actually. I actually really enjoyed the story. I actually watched a lot of videos about it, and they were like, "Yeah, the story is actually pretty good. The gameplay is not the greatest, but it's actually a pretty enjoyable game." I played it myself, and while I will say it did take me a long time to finish it, not because it was like super difficult, but because I played it for a while. I got into it, and then I kind of got bored, and I got rid of it. And I re-downloaded it, and I started playing it again. I was like, "Oh, it's actually a lot better now." And I finished the game and everything. And it was actually, like I said, it's pretty good. And by this point, it's kind of up in the air because, like, I don't feel like part of the reason why CD Projekt Red got it worse is because Hello Games was like a new studio, so it's kind of like this was like their first big shot into like the mainstream. CD Projekt Red is known for releasing really good games, so like they were, I guess you could say like for CD Projekt Red, it kind of came down to like they were playing off the goodwill of the community, and so it made the release of the game not being good and the game not being a good state for quite a while, and to this point, still kind of being debatably not in a great state. Now, a lot of people will stand by the game, but you know what? I actually have a pretty good experience when I play the game. But overall, it feels like they kind of took advantage of the community, and so it led to like a lot of bad press slash loss of credibility on their part and like confidence on the community's part towards them. So it's kind of created. This is like an example of like why releasing subpar games and fixing them later just isn't a one-to-one. Like, oh, it just works. Like people are okay with that. Like it doesn't always work that way. Just because you can fix your game, right, doesn't mean that people are okay with it. And especially, I would say like around CD Projekt Red's Cyberpunk's release, it was a time where like this was becoming like a normal thing where like big AAA games that are supposed to be like well paid for and like have a lot of support behind them and everything. It's supposed to be like big releases. They got tours and got trailers and all that stuff. Like they really convince you to buy the game, and it ends up not being good on release. Then they fix it afterwards. Like by this point, this had become kind of normal, so people were not feeling like the idea of like, oh, you're gonna fix it. I want a good game now. I didn't want to. I didn't want to pay for a game that's not going to be good while I want to play it. So yeah, I wouldn't say tough, but it's just a spot that they're at right now. But they are releasing one more update, one more free update. It's gonna be the last one, so they gotta add a whole bunch of stuff. But they're not doing any more support for the game because the game just did really badly because that initial bad press basically killed. Like they were planning on doing a lot of stuff with like this whole IP, but they just couldn't do it because it's kind of like we gotta let it go. Like we messed it up like real bad, and so it's like dang. Like as someone who's now like I played Cyberpunk, they came with a little anime, great anime. I cried, good time. But yeah, they came out with the anime or whatever. It's kind of like dang, like I could like people are now like yeah, I could keep playing the game. It's pretty good now. But it's like as a company, it's kind of like at this point they're like they gotta cut their losses. It's kind of like we're not gonna have our developers working on a game that previously was getting getting just tons of hate, you know. So it's like dang, you know, which is why you can't don't. Which is why on their part don't release bad games. But on our part, that's another reason why it's like don't pre-order it because it may be years before the game's actually acceptable to play. You know, and by that point, you might as well just get it on sale because bad price, you make it like $20, $60, $20, go for 20. Especially if I'm not gonna play the game on release anyway, because it's bad on release, you know. Um, and yeah, I think those are like the main reasons and like examples. But yeah, bad gameplay. I just gotta do my checks. If I buy the game and it's bad, I've bought games and they've been bad before on release. Well, at least I bought a game and it's been bad on release, and yeah, it's just not a good idea. And you don't really need to pre-order because they usually give you some incentives to pre-order, but a lot of times they're not really worth it unless you're paying for like the extra stuff. And I mean, if you want to pay for the extra stuff, you want to pay for the extra stuff. But I feel like that's independent of like getting the game before the game releases to like see what the reviews say. I feel like the reviews and like having like a little bit of like community community review before paying for a game is like pretty important. So that then you don't waste your money. Now, if you don't care about your money, that's a different problem. But yeah, that for me at least, that was pretty important. Um, yeah, yeah, that is like my pre-ordering. I can't remember. I don't know if you can tell, but it's been like 20 minutes since I started like what I was talking about. And so now that I'm here, I'm like, shoot, why wasn't I talking about pre-ordering games? Shoot, I don't know. Oh yeah, because I was saying I was being picky about buying games. Yeah, I feel like everyone should be picky about buying games. Like anything, you don't just buy anything. You check out reviews. You try to do your research or whatever, so that you're making sure you're getting the best bang out of your buck. And yeah, yeah. Mm, let me think. Video game stuff to talk about. Oh, Steam Deck. Oh my God, Steam. All right. So as I was mentioning, like way before, laptop. It's just a regular laptop. All right. I like my laptop. It's cool. It's a great laptop. It's not a gaming laptop. I need a Steam Deck. I didn't even know it was a thing at first, but I had heard about it like randomly, and I was like, oh, it's like a Switch, but for computer games. I was like, Switch for computer games. It's interesting. I started looking into it. I'm like, you can get mods on your Switch. I was like, I was sold. I was sold. One thing I will say about between console and PC games. Now, you can make an argument that PC games run better on PC because you got better graphics and whatever. Yada yada. Yada. I'm not trying to build a computer. That's not happening. Also, laptop better for playing on the go whenever I want. With all that being said, console games versus PC games. Mods are a huge plus. I think about Minecraft. Minecraft is great. It's a pretty good game. Minecraft plus mods. It is a beast to each its own. It is on a different level plus mods. Terraria, a great game on its own. Plus mods, a beast to on its own. Mods add a level of longevity to a game that is simply unheard of prior to mods. Like it's just not possible to make a game that's it's impossible to make a game is strong that is strong and like moddable, but is better without mods. Not a thing. Not a thing. Because people are creative. A lot of people are creative. They can put in a lot of cool stuff. And building off of something is good just because, if what the original is already good, you take it further with mods. Like, bro, you can take it to a whole different level. Mods are a must. So good. So I've been waiting to get a Steam Deck. Now, waiting is more like saving up slash just making plans to get a Steam Deck at some point in my lifetime. All right, I just need it. It's gonna be so good. It's gonna be so good. Also, if it solves the problem that I have currently of like I have games I want to play on Steam, right? On Steam games, right? But the problem is my laptop's not made for it. So it's like I can't reasonably buy these games that even though I really want to play them, I can't buy them because getting them on my laptop just won't be efficient because my laptop's not going to really be able to run those games efficiently. The Steam Deck is strictly for playing those games, and you get the mods. The mods are a really important part for me. So I'm like, I need a Steam Deck. I need it really bad. So that's like my next big purchase. Like that's my plan. Like the next time next time I got money for it, I'm gonna bring it together. I'm gonna buy that console because it's just like yeah. I also don't have to buy games over. Like it just put my Steam account on there, and boom, I got all my games and I have a great time. So that is a big thing for me. VR. I always wanted to do VR. I've never played VR. I have seen things where like you do like the that you get the sword and you get to, like you go ham on some like AI or whatever and like one-on-one combat. I need it. I need it bad. I need it bad. I don't know if you can hear me. I really need it. I need it bad. It's really good. It's so cool. But I've always wanted to try out VR, like a proper VR headset with like little controllers you could grab, and yeah, I really want to try that. That'd be fun sometime in the future. If I'll buy my own, I feel like that's something I'll do down the line. Not 100% sure when, but it's something I want to build up to. Anything coming out? Oh, I got a shell. I gotta do a little shelling. All right. Monster Hunter. I don't know about you guys. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Monster Hunter, but you gotta check it out. It's pretty good. It's up there in my games. I wouldn't say it's like top 5, top 10, but it's pretty good. Monster Hunter is not one game, but it's like a series of games, and the premise is you hunt monsters, as the name suggests. But it's pretty fun. It's like basically a game full of boss fights, and also you like a hunter, so that's pretty cool. You get cool weapons and stuff. It's a fun series. Recently they dropped Monster Hunter Rise, the most recent entry into the series, and then it used to be a PlayStation game, but then it became a Nintendo game. They went back to being PlayStation, but then it became back to Nintendo. Nintendo. Then they released one more Monster Hunter game, like their biggest project, onto PlayStation 4. Bro, I played the bejesus out of that game. It was great. Mind you, it was my first Monster Hunter game ever. I just knew about it from a distance. It was one of those things where I was like on the internet, like every once in a while it would come across my feed and I'd be like, looks pretty cool. And I'd watch it, I'd be like, oh my god, it's so cool, I want to play this game so bad. But then I'd be like, oh shit, I don't own Nintendo, I play PlayStation. Dang. So then when they said that Monster Hunter World was coming out on PlayStation, I'm like, oh my god, I gotta play that. Jeez. So I did. I played it quite a bit. I finished the game, then they released an expansion. I played that. I finished that expansion, and then they released title updates throughout the life cycle. So I'm playing the title updates. I'm going. It was so good. Then I got my friend to buy it. You know what game is good when I'm over selling the game to my friend. I got him to play it. We never really got to like truly play together. It has a weird multiplayer system. Like you can't. Like they have like cinematics for every new monster you meet, so you have to see those before you can play on multiplayer, and so it makes it kind of sucky for multiplayer because like you have to see the monster before you can play together, which isn't inherently bad by itself, but if you want to experience the game together, it slows down the process so much more. It makes it kind of annoying, but it's really good stuff. The music for the monsters, peak music. Gameplay, very nice. It does have gathering and stuff, which can be kind of annoying, but that's kind of the point. You're a hunter. You gotta do the gathering stuff. But overall, very fun games. Monster Hunter World, great. Monster Hunter Rise, I played it on Switch, but I haven't played it on PlayStation just yet. But once it does, it's already released. But once I do get the chance to play it, I know I'm gonna have a great time. Well, I mean, I already played the game a little bit. I didn't finish the story mode when I played it on Switch. I just played a little bit and eventually I didn't get bored, but like, long story short, I just don't get to play on Switch very often, so, yeah. But, yeah, I'm looking forward to being able to buy it soon and play the game on my PlayStation. It's going to be great. And the graphics going to be cooler. It's going to be a great time. With that all being said, I think we're at the end of this video. Overall, it's been fun making these videos with you guys, talking about video games. I hope you guys are enjoying me ramble for an extended period of time. I hope this video was not too disconnected, I would hope. If you look like my tale, the first-hand account of a No Man's Sky survivor, a bamboozler. I don't think that's a word. But point is, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It has been fun making this 5-part series with you guys. Talking about video games. It's been great. Buy the games I told you I was talking about. Risk Rain, that's a buy. Overwatch 2, that's for free. God of War Ragnarok, come on now, it wins awards. FromSoft games, all of them. Buy all of them. Play them all the way through. Play them. Today, No Man's Sky, it's probably cheap though, so if you want to. Cyberpunk, I feel like you should at least give it a try, or at least watch story mode. I feel like that'd be, or like not watch story mode, but like watch a video about the story. I feel like that'd be kind of slapper. Monster Hunter, definitely buy. I can't think of other games. I thought about a couple of games. I could just send names, so check those out too. I have good recommendations, I swear. And yeah, thanks for watching. Julian, signing out. Peace.